Hi, this is Sean with Pioneer Survival Company. So I'm always looking for the most perfect pair of shoes that I can wear in any situation. And trust me, I buy a lot of shoes to try and, figure this out. But what I've concluded is there is no such thing as the perfect pair of shoes. Obviously, something you wear in the summertime is not going to be something that's good for you in the wintertime. But in the spirit of summer, I decided to do a review on some of my favorite quick drying shoes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Something that you can pull out, just throw in your car, pull it out real quick, and get on the go. Something when you're out there doing your training that you have something reliable. Speaking of training, we'd also like to invite everybody to go to our website, pioneersurvivalcompany.com. We're going to be teaching our Introduction into Wilderness and Survival Safety, and that's going to be June 18th through the 20th. And in honor of our father, for Father's Day, we're actually going to be doing a buy one, get one free offer. So if you go to our website, you can get one class, and you can actually bring your dad, bring your friend. You can bring anybody. It's going to be buy one, get one free. It's just in honor of fathers everywhere because they had us, and we want to spread the joy. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about a few of the shoe selections on the table. Alright, so I have three different pairs of shoes here. The common feature between all of these shoes is that they're quick drying. So they actually are, they shed water. So you can get them wet and they squeeze the water out so that they dry quicker. This is great for in the summertime if I want to go out and go hiking. I don't entirely know what the terrain's going to be like, so maybe I'm crossing creeks or whatnot. I don't have to worry about something like a Gore-Tex where it's just going to fill up and then your shoe is waterlogged and you're dumping it out and then you're soggy the entire day. So these are three that I've tried out for quite a long time now, and pretty much some of my favorite shoes here. These are actually the LALOs. These are called the LALO Zodiac, and I've hiked in these things extensively. I mean, on one trip, I actually did a 50-mile trip in these shoes, and I got to be honest, these things are super comfortable. They have a nice, they have like this nice foam bottom. I believe they have a ceramic plate in them, but I don't remember entirely. But I'm pretty sure that they have a ceramic plate in them that helps give them a little rigidity, and they just have this nice, this nice textured material. Almost feels like an aqua sock when you're wearing them. And so I'm going to talk about all three of these. I'm not really going to get into the tech specs too much because what I really want to focus on is just the comfort and just the, the quality and the usability of the shoe and, why I like them. Going back to these, they actually have drainage ports right here in the sides. So when they flood up with the water, your water as you're walking actually squeezes out these drainage ports, and they have them on two sides, which is really nice because it gives you a lot of extra opportunity for that water to come out. The insoles of these are just kind of like a lightweight foam. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but they actually have holes perforated throughout the entire footbed, and that allows the water to seep down, and as you're walking, it pushes it. Oh my God, I think I swallowed a bug. So it actually pushes it down into these channels where the water can come out. Super comfortable. These are the only ones that I'm going to show today that actually aren't a high top. These here are the GoRuck MACV-1s. These are on all. These are actually the original. They've came out with a few updates since then. These are really a nice shoe. They have a very comfortable foot liner in them. They are all leather, and then they have the nylon here, which helps dry out quicker. What I like about them is that these are probably one of the most comfortable shoes out of the three here. I can hike in these things all day. I believe that they have an offset of about 11 degrees, so you don't get a whole lot of foot fatigue when you're wearing these. they have a real nice liner in them. It's just, you know, super cushioned, and they have a really wide toe box, something that the LALOs don't have. The LALOs are more of a narrow cut, so they don't have as wide of a toe box as the GoRucks here. And I mean, these things, I've put them through a lot of abuse. They have not torn out yet. You can see how they're destroyed. The one thing I didn't like about the original version was that they had used a really soft leather. So when I was taking these through the thorns and through, you know, some of the harsh debris and stuff that I hiked through, it just shredded them all up. But they did not fall apart. I think that they've remedied that in some of the later models. They've used a thicker leather. They also have these in suede and some other versions. But these are a great pair of shoes. The last ones that I want to show you here are the Altama. These are the Maritime Assault shoe. These are more of like a casual sneaker, almost like a Chuck Taylor. I mean, the whole thing is made out of like the mil-spec nylon. It's got a pull tab. Out of the 3 shoes, this is the only one that has a pull tab, so it makes it really nice when you're trying to slide these things on. They got the wide shoelaces, rubber-coated toe box. So, you know, if you're banging your feet against stuff, it's a little extra protection. And what's really cool is that, you know, if anybody's ever wore Chucks before, you know how, like, when you're walking, like, your toe, there's that toe crease. They actually cut out the spot here to kind of stop that toe crease, and this is your drainage port, actually. And there's a nice mesh over it where the water can just squeeze out. Now, what are some of the pros and cons of all 3 of these shoes? Well, first of all, about the most that I can get out of these is about 10 miles before I start getting severe foot fatigue out of these particular ones. They have a 0 drop, so there's not a whole lot of arch support or anything in them. The liners are just a solid rubber, which is great because the liners aren't going to retain any water if you're walking, you know, through a creek or whatnot. So they dry out super quick, and, you know, you're not getting a mushy liner like some of these other ones. They retain more water. But there's also not a whole lot of give. They do have a nice recessed heel, so your foot doesn't slide around and stuff a lot in these, which makes it a super comfortable shoe. And walking around the range, taking hikes up to about 8 miles, I haven't had any problems in it. But like I said, once I started getting up in that 10-mile range, I really started to get a lot of foot fatigue. The traction of these shoes, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not a super aggressive traction, but it's a very sticky rubber outsole that they use. And I believe it was a mil-spec rubber traction that they use. And it's really good for grasping rocks. It's really good in wet conditions so that your foot doesn't slip. Like I said, these were designed to be used by the military. They can actually even have the fin. You can put the fins over these and, you know, swim in them. Super comfortable, though. Super lightweight. I really love these shoes. They're just, like I said, they're not going to be something that you can, you know, use for like a bug out bag or something if you're planning on doing a lot of hiking. But every shoe has its own purpose. So if you're going to be out doing wet weather activity, and, you know, you want comfort, you want stability, these things are great. Now, out of the 2 of these are probably the most comfortable for long distance hiking. Like I said, I have hiked in these. I probably broke 100 miles in both of these shoes. These are really, it's hard to say which one's actually more comfortable. With the GoRucks here, you can see the tread pattern. It's a very flat, slip-resistant tread pattern. These ones here, they don't really have too much of a tread pattern. They do have like these channel locks where the water, you know, drains out and everything, which makes these some of the quickest shoes for getting rid of the water. So I really do like that. Even when these things are wet, they just feel like a second skin on your feet. These obviously are a leather. So out of all of the shoes, these ones are probably the least comfortable once they get wet, just because you've got that wet, cold leather against your foot. And I mean, they're all quick drying, but These ones get rid of the water real quick. These ones are probably the best for getting rid of the water. But enough about that. Let's test them out real quick. So I'm going to take all 3 of these shoes down to the water, and we're just going to do a quick submersion test. And I'm also going to hop on some rocks, just kind of, test out the traction on them, see which ones are, as far as slipping, which ones are better. So let's go down to the river and check those out. Alright, so right there's the water ports, and as you can see, when you put pressure on it, the water squeezes out of both sides. So each step that you take, you're actually squeezing the water out of your shoe. Alright, so on this one here, we just have the drain ports on the inside of the shoe, just 2 of them. And you can see, I'm putting pressure on it, not as much as shooting out on this one. Alright, so these ones actually have draining ports on both sides. It's actually cut right into the fabric where the crease of the foot is. And you can see just by me pulling it back, had water just coming out of it. So each step you take, once again, is pushing the water out. By far, I feel like these ones out of the 3 are draining the best. Okay, so we just tested them all out in the water. All of them did fantastic. I'm just going to go ahead and basically just kind of tell my thoughts on them. So it's been about a little over an hour and a half since everything was fully submerged. Let's see how these are. So these are still damp. I mean, I still got some moisture. The liners hour and a half, we're still dripping water out of them. So these liners, I mean, you can see they do retain water even though they have the holes cut in them. Leather, I mean, this leather, it's soaked all the way through still. Now, this is a little bit better. It's not quite, it did not retain as much water as those ones. So as far as the liners retaining water, these ones right now are better than the LALOs. But these ones felt more comfortable when you were still wearing them damp. As far as these ones, solid rubber, man. I mean, they're not retaining anything, so you don't have to worry about that. The outsole is still damp, but quite honestly, out of the three of them, these are the most comfortable. When I was walking through the water, they have this super thick rubberized sole, so I wasn't really feeling the rocks underneath my feet. With that sticky rubber, they were really clinging to the rocks. These ones probably stuck to the rocks the best. Really makes sense, I mean, since that's what their purpose, what they were designed for. Out of the other two, I would say that these ones were the second best as far as sticking to the rocks. And these ones, I had a little bit of slidage on these ones. The traction wasn't as good on the wet rocks with these ones right here. So, I mean, in summary, these ones are best as a casual shoe. If you're going long distances, I probably wouldn't wear them. You could take out these rubber insoles and put in something else. Kind of defeats the purpose though, because then you're going to stick in something else that retains water. So these are the most comfortable, but not good for, you know, if you're taking hikes up to 10 miles. These here are probably my favorite shoe out of the three as far as versatility. They're really comfortable even when wet. You know, they retain a lot of that water, so you'd want to take these these insoles out and dry them. For long distances, by far, these are going to be the best ones. Just with, you know, just the way that they're designed and stuff. These are a long distance shoe. They were made for rucking. Over a long haul, putting several miles on it, these ones are still the most comfortable. But if I'm just wearing them, like I said, I hiked up to 40 miles in one day, 40 or 50 miles in one day in these shoes, and you know, they're comfortable. All of them are still wet. None of them dried entirely. But I would say if you have to wear the shoe wet, this one or this one felt the best on my feet. These ones just kind of get cold and clammy. So you want to pay attention to what kind of socks that you're wearing. I was wearing some bamboo socks. They stayed really wet. This is still, you know, an hour and a half after. And these things are soppy too. So you got to pay attention to what you're wearing. I find the best thing is a nice thin, lightweight merino wool sock. And, you know, that keeps the rubbing from happening, keeps you from getting blisters, dries out quick, retains heat even when warm. So in summary, these are all great shoes. If you have any questions, feel free to message us or whatnot. You can like us on Facebook and YouTube. Also, make sure that you stop by our store and check out our Fortress clothing or sign up for our classes at pioneersurvivalcompany.com. Thanks for your time, and journey past your limits.